Hi, welcome back to Live Genuinely. Our podcast today, we have a very special guest. His name is Kevin Ebelani, and he happens to be my husband. We've been married now for almost 19 years, going on 19 years. And I'm excited to have him today because we're going to be hearing from his perspective of what it's like to be in a marriage and to what it means to him. And we'll have a conversation about that. So welcome, Kevin. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
So how about, obviously I know you quite well, but how about you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So again, my name is Kevin, and I am Jennifer's husband here. What about myself? I mean, she said it. I'm a father of 3. We've been married almost for 19 years. I'm local here to Southern California. I love it here. I'm a huge Laker fan. I love sports. Very, very competitive. Very competitive. And, as far as work is concerned, I am a consultant, a healthcare consultant, and I also own and operate a health center in Orange County.
Awesome. Well, today our topic is marriage. So how about we start with how we met?
No,
I'd love to hear you tell that story because I feel like whenever people ask us, I feel like I'm the one who answers that question. So I'd love to hear you tell a story.
Well, number one, you have a better memory than I do. But I know exactly how we met. It was in 2008. I'm sorry, 1998 when we actually met. Actually, 1997 when we first saw each other.
Yeah.
That was my freshman year of college at UC Irvine. And my freshman year of college, we were trying out for a hip hop dance team called Cabo Modern, right? And I remember the parking structure. I remember you in pigtails, and you were doing a duo, and I was doing a trio with my friends. So that's when I first saw you, right, physically, right, seeing you, but we didn't talk. And then we ended up making the team, which was awesome because that was a super competitive tryout, and I was stressed out that I wouldn't make it, but yeah. Relief, we made it, and then we were at our friend's house for our first team meeting, and that's when I met you. You were wearing your blue UC Irvine sweater, spelled out University of California Irvine sweater, which you don't have anymore.
No, I don't know.
But it's like my favorite sweater.
Yeah.
And then your red lipstick, and then we had our first meeting, and that's when we met. That was November, I think, of 1997.
So yeah, and then we had a couple of performances, and then after that, getting to know each other, we were kind of just inseparable after that. I feel
Pretty
like
much inseparable, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I was always around you, or you were always around me, and it took off from there. So
Definitely.
that's always a good time. And then, so we were dating for about 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Before we got engaged. How did you know that you wanted to get married?
Well, I mean, yeah, you said it yourself. We were dating for 5 years, and you learned a lot about each other. We were super young, right? At that time, I was 22, and I think I proposed 22.
I think so.
Yeah. So in 2002, when I proposed to you, I was 22. But we were together for a long time, and we went through a lot during that period of time. And sometimes it's hard to determine that. Like that switch where you're like, I'm gonna marry you, or I'm gonna marry her, or whatever, him, or whatever you want to call it. I didn't have a switch. It was just more of, oh, okay, she's number one, an awesome cook, like the best cook. I needed no help for the freshman 15 at all, but a great cook. Oh, well, she'd be a great cook for a family, right? Everything you did, I looked up to, right? You started work early. I didn't work. I was spoiled in college, right? But I followed kind of you and your work habits. You were financially independent, and I admired that. And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted for myself. I was like, oh, that's good. So that's when I started working. And I didn't have to, but I started working, and you made me want to do things that I didn't think I was gonna do. Like I thought I was just gonna coast through college and just not do anything and just have fun and graduate and then get a job. But no, freshman year I started working already, and that was really because of you, and I wanted to just make myself better. And who would you? I mean, you would want to. Anybody would want to spend the rest of their life with someone that did that and made me better. No, so I don't know if that sounds cheesy, but that's what it was. It wasn't just I'm gonna marry her. It was just everything that I wanted to do and be was because of you. So that's when I decided go buy that dang ring, which I held on to, as you know, for like months. Like an idiot in my shoe. I told you.
Well, the funny thing is I never found it. I mean, we lived together, and I still never found it. It's not that I was like looking through your things or anything. That would be kind of creepy. But not that I was looking for it, but like it was literally hidden in plain sight. It was literally in your shoe.
It was waiting there for like the perfect moment, which, you know, it's hard to have that perfect moment. And it was funny because we had that perfect moment. We had
we both called in sick to work that one day.
We went to it was in San Francisco.
Yeah.
We spent the day in San Francisco, and that was like, this is the perfect moment.
Yeah, we both played hooky, and we were in the Japanese tea gardens.
Yep.
That was
and I didn't have the ring.
And you're like, this is good.
But we have a better story than that, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And while all of that sounds really wonderful and rosy for our listeners or our viewers, we also went through our own share of struggles along the way. Maybe not necessarily as much when we first got together, but over the past, now we're pushing almost 25 years. So in our 25-year history, we've definitely had ups and downs, definitely more ups than downs, but we've always been very good about facing them together. And I think that it's a lot of times people, yes, we were very young when we first met, but I think that there was also a beauty in that we were able to grow and develop together and learn together. So we were able to develop a really strong relationship in that sense because I learned more about you as I was learning about myself. You learned about me as you were learning about yourself. Right. And then, so whenever we encountered troubles, probably the biggest one is having the rug pulled out from under us, quite literally, and losing our home.
Right.
And that was a time where both of us really had to lean in, like literally lean in, and get through that together. Because at that time we did have kids, and it was a struggle for both of us.
No, it definitely was, and it's something that it was something I don't wish upon anybody, but something that I think at that time was very common in that time frame, right? Like 2000, like 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah, 7.
A lot of financial struggles, and it's something that I've come to terms with, that it just happens, right? And yes, we were young, and we had great careers, and sometimes when you're young with great careers, you can just think that the rug will not be pulled out from under you, right? But it made us way better people as far as, working together and bouncing back.
Yeah.
It's all about the bounce back, right? And that was such a hard time. And for me, I always struggled talking about it because I want to put that behind me. But it definitely is a part of us and what we experienced. And it gives this life lesson that we could teach to our kids and anybody else looking for advice, what to do if this happens. Because that will happen to anybody at any given moment all the time, unfortunately. Yeah. But it's all about how you work together as a unit with kids, and just like gear up, just come together and just say, this is how we're going to make it work.
Exactly. And I think that the most beautiful thing about that is it was definitely a humbling experience. But more so than that, it showed me our grit. Like, it was almost like we were able to be able to start over and build something amazing
Right.
from that, and really to rise above all of it, because it would be so easy to be like, oh, throw in the towel, these businesses don't work, entrepreneurship isn't for us, let's go get a 9 to 5, whatever it is. But we clawed our way back because we both knew what we were capable of together. Not just like, not just, oh, I'm going to expect him to provide for our family, or I know Jen can go get a job for us and we'll be okay. It was like, okay, let's lean in, use both of our talents. I believe in you and you believe in me. And it was nice to be able to have that, to be able to lean on each other, and to really trust each other in that difficult time.
Definitely. I mean, there was that point, like we would both be working, like you're exactly right. It's just not like one person works, right? And I think in this day and age, well, maybe not here, but back then it was like, the husband works, the wife doesn't work, But then we actually worked together, and it wasn't just you work, I work. It was just, let's both come together, get our talents together. You're great in what you do. I mean, you can sell anything, anything you want. But I mean,
I think that's just to you, though.
Well, that kind of like boosted as far as yourself, I think it probably kind of turned that switch on for you, because before then you were, stay-at-home mom, right? For how old was Sienna? Was like 3 or 4,
3.
maybe? Something like 4 years. Like when I met you, when, after graduation, you were career, all about career, and then the kids, then marriage, and the kids, and you were staying at home, which was the hardest job in the world. Do you remember when you went out for your cousin's like party or something?
Yeah.
And you left me with the kids for the first time?
Yeah.
That was when I realized that I was like, this stay-at-home duty stuff is no joke.
Yeah, you literally called me and you were like, the dog ran away, Dominic has hives, and Sienna won't stop crying. I don't know what to do.
Right. Yeah, the dog literally jumped the fence and ran away, and I didn't know where they were. So, and I called you in a panic. So I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy.
And it was like the first day,
That was day one.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I'm in Mexico. Can you just leave me alone and deal with it?
Yeah.
Which I appreciate, because I had to deal with it. So I learned a lot about myself and how to be a dad, and just like really not be a child.
Yeah.
That you took care of. So,
but you did a great job. Like now, especially with the kids love being able to and I think it's great that you're childish with them, because they love being able to have that relationship with you, that jovial relationship where they joke around with you, and there's banter. Our kitchen table, or our dinner table, is probably like, family dinner is like my favorite part of the day, because it's we mess around, and like Bella gets excited for the dessert, and we talk about each other's day, and as a father, I couldn't have picked a better man for my kids.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're so involved with them, and
well, I mean, they're hard to not be involved with, right? They need a lot of attention, even though they don't want it. I think I learned from you, it's like, let's give them attention.
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest things I learned from you on how to be a great dad, well, a great parent, was I'm going to be this kid's biggest cheerleader, whether or not it makes me look like a fool and they're super embarrassed. And I would be like, what are you doing? Like, they don't want you to say anything. Stop clapping. But you would be their biggest cheerleader. And that helped me be a better dad to them, and show them that it doesn't just come from mom. And it was, I thought that was important, because they need to know, whether they like it or not, we're here for them. And that's what I learned from you. So thank you for that. And I think my relationship with them is way different than your relationship with them. Of course, they don't open up to me as much as they do to you, but I think in me doing that and cheering for them and trying to have that relationship that I learned from you, and it's not you telling me, hey, you need to do better in being a father to your children. It's just stuff that I observe from you. It's, I want to do that too. And then now you see, as the kids get older, I see them talking to me more, opening up to me, and it's not something I figured out. It's really just me learning through you. Yeah. So,
well, I think that definitely goes both ways, because I think that the kids saw me more as like the nurturer who would be like cooking the meals and like loving them if they get hurt, or like the nurturing
Right.
motherly aspect. But I always wanted to be like, okay, well, what if I want to play too, and like what if I want to be silly with them, and it would almost like my role on that, or my part being able to be that part, was diminutized. But I still remember the day that we remember that Christmas when we got the kids their Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
And we literally spent the whole day, the next day, like playing video games, all 5 of us.
Yeah.
And that was so fun. And I was like, finally, like my kids like playing with me, like, because like the silly games that you get to play on that video game. But I like that both of us can be both things to our kids. Like Bella, I think that you're her favorite for sure. Like she loves to be able to cuddle you, and she knows you will never say no to her.
Oh, I will say no all the time. You just don't hear it.
Sure, right? But like, and I love that the kids know that they can go to you, like if Sienna loses a volleyball game, that she knows that she can turn to you and you will console her in the way that she needs to hear.
Right.
Like, because she's very competitive like you. So when you talk to her, you're telling her like, hey, it's okay. Next time we're going to do this. Next time we're going to do this. And you'll be able to console her in that way, where I'm over here going like, oh, it's okay, honey. And she's like, stop, like that's not what she needed at the time. She needed you. And I'm so glad that they have you to turn to for that. That like Dominic, I think especially between fathers and sons, maybe it's a cultural thing for us, but men or fathers in the Asian culture don't typically show affection to their sons.
Well, not at all.
Yeah, and I love like even watching Dom in his dance competitions, and you're the one who's texting him, and you're the one who's saying like, where can I meet you? Like your performance just ended. Where can we? And the first thing you do is you go up and you hug him, and I think that that's wonderful, because even your experience growing up wasn't an affectionate one with your dad. So to see you give to your son what you needed, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and like you're right. I think maybe it is Asian culture or whatever, Filipino culture, but I know my dad loves me, but I never got that. Like he. But the thing is, they show love in a different way.
Very different.
By taking me to those baseball games that would last till midnight. And, and now that I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, wow, my dad went to work. He's a doctor, so he went to work and got off work, took me to my game on like a Tuesday because I was, playing and we lost and whatever. But at the time, I didn't really think of like how hard it was for him.
Right.
But looking back, I know that, that's the way that he showed love.
Yeah.
And I wanted, especially with Dominic, I knew it was easy to tell our daughters like, hey, I love you, I'm so proud of you, things like that. But with Dominic, it really made it a point to let him know.
Yeah.
Again, encouragement, I think it was from you, right? Like I wanted to give him that too. And I always think it's important for me to tell him that I'm super proud of you, good job, I love you, things like that. Because I don't want him to think, what I thought back then, right? Even though I knew what I thought wasn't true, because I still know that he loved me back then. But I'm just saying, not saying that word.
Yeah.
I love you or I'm proud of you, right?
Yeah.
But just being there in other ways. But I want something different for Dom, so that way he can feel comfortable doing that to his son or daughter or things like that. So.
Of course.
Yeah. So, just following up on that love in the family with children, I definitely got that from you. And I think that you brought that, I know you brought that to my family. You did. And it's like your fault. Yeah. But I mean, you see my parents now doing that. And that was because of you. You would straight out tell my parents, I love you. And they'd be like freaked out, like, whoa, okay. but that opened them up.
That's nice.
Yeah, that opened them up, and now look at them,
Yeah.
They say it all the time now, especially to their grandkids.
Yeah.
So, that, again, because of you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you attributing to that to me, but I think it's once it's like almost given permission, like if somebody just says, if we can just make it normal, like to be able to, like, it's almost like people want to say it, but they don't because no one else is saying it. So it's like, okay, well, it just needs one person to just kind of rip the Band-Aid off, and going back on that, I think it's also a thing about trust, is being able to say something and knowing that, like, it's going to be okay in this space, right? And I think that in our marriage, in our relationship, that was one of the biggest things, is that, for us, no matter what we came across, if it was scheduling issues, or if it was, dealing with the kids, or financial issues, whatever it was, you and I always were able to fully lean on each other. And I think that, one of the most beautiful things is when we were first going through the process of getting married, there was something that I had read. And I think it was a book by Prather, and it's from a book called I Will Never Leave You. And it was literally taking that mental, it was like taking almost a mental pledge. And there's a line in that book where it says, you need to be able to look at your spouse and say, I will never leave you. I will never threaten to leave you. I will never like, think about leaving you, because this is us, and I'm in this forever.
Right.
Like, this is our thing.
It's forever.
And for us, there was no option of ever quitting, like saying this is too hard, or we can't figure this out. And I think that it also had a lot to do with the fact that we grew together, and we were able to establish a really solid trust. And learn so much about each other from such an early age. So
actually, when you think about that, that definitely gives us an edge. Like us growing together. Yeah, we did get married young, but starting young, you get to grow and learn a lot together, rather than the norm right now is like career and then get married in their 30s or whatever it is. Like we actually, it's how you look at things, like you always say, right?
Yeah. So it worked out nicely, and we also had our kids like a lot younger than most people. When we were having kids, it felt like we were the only people in the world with kids.
Because we were.
Because we were the first people to ever have kids, and it felt, at least that's how it felt, because none of our friends had kids. None of our friends were even married yet. So like planning a wedding, planning baby showers, planning. All of that stuff was so new that all we really had to fall back on was our parents' generation. But to that note, that almost could be a benefit, because, like if you think back, in those days, things, if they were broken, you fix it. You don't just go out and buy a new one. It wasn't disposable anything. And so I think that if we were to go off of that, it would be, and that's how we found, or that's how we structure our marriage. If something is broken, you fix it. You don't dispose of it. So I'm glad that we have that together. We are going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about how our marriage has evolved through the years, and then how we look forward, or what we're looking to moving forward. So we will take a quick break and be right back. Welcome back. We are here with our guest, Kevin Ebelani, my husband, and we're talking a little bit about our marriage. And so on this segment, I wanted to go over, or talk about and discuss how our marriage has kind of evolved through the years. How would you say how has it changed for you, or what do you see differently now?
I mean, early on, of course, it was just us two, but it was just us two for how long? 9 months?
Yeah.
So it was, we were always about, it was never really about, I guess for 9 months, it was about, what do you want to do? What do we want to do?
Yeah.
And then Sienna came along 9 months later, And she changed things, which is great.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so everything was all family. Like
Yeah.
our decisions were all us and the kids, primarily the
Yeah.
kids, or how will Sienna react, or things
Exactly.
like that. And then now the kids are a little older. Now it's just like, hey, what do you want to do? Like,
It's
so it's just been like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's been like all about the kids basically. And then now we're starting to have that, like us time.
Yeah.
Not we've always had that us time through our relationship, and I think most people don't. We always make room for, hey, let's go on date night. We always made it a priority, so that was great. But then now it's just like, hey, we can have date night anytime we want.
Yeah.
We can do it, 7 days a week if we wanted to. So those kind of decisions and lifestyle changes, that's how it's evolved to now.
Oh yeah, and I think that it's especially different. I think a lot of it changed as when the kids got older and we had an extra driver in the house.
Yes.
So we didn't feel like we had to, like I joke. I used to joke before that our family calendar looked like air traffic control. Who's going where? Who's picking up whom? Our schedules, because the 3 kids had 2 activities each, plus you and
Right.
I had our things and our meetings and projects that we were working on. So we had to coordinate who was picking up who. And then once the kids got into high school and, they had friends who drove, or eventually Sienna driving, it made it so much easier. Like, oh, okay, like we could loosen the reins, so
Right.
to speak, a little bit more. And now it's evolving even more with Sienna getting ready to leave home.
Right.
And I had just talked to her on the show, actually, fairly recently about her moving off to college, and that's definitely going to affect the dynamics of our home again. So, especially with with her siblings, I feel like, but then again, you and I did lean on her quite a bit for her help in driving her brother and sister around, picking up dinner for them if you and I were, out of town or doing something that we weren't able to do that for them. So another big change coming along.
I mean, it definitely was. And a lot of the dinner conversations are centered around the kids. But then when we're able to, even back then when we did do our date nights, however many times, it wasn't, we'd like to do it once a week, whatever it was important always for us to go out and do our own thing and be adults.
Yeah.
Because what did we learn? Just like once the kids are all gone, like it's just going to be me and you, and we don't want to learn each other again.
Yeah.
That would be awkward, and
Yeah.
I don't want that, and you didn't want that. It's just like we have to make it consistently about us because we started it,
Yeah.
so, and we're gonna finish it, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like it's very important for us to just have our connection. And I think we're very fortunate because I actually think people see that too.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what they see because it's so natural for us. And granted, we're not the perfect couple, or we have our challenges, and that's great. Everybody does, but I think people look to us. I feel like they do, or they see some connection that we have, and I don't know. It's just it's kind of
for
I don't know
me.
how to explain it.
I think for me, I genuinely, and I know people say it, and maybe they do mean it too. I'm sure they do mean it too, but I am so blessed to have been able to marry my best friend. Like you really are my best friend. And we talk about that, like how cheesy and corny that is, but it's like so awesome because, even on those occasional Saturday mornings where we don't have to rush off to a volleyball tournament or to a dance competition, and you and I get to stay in bed, and like we just think about like, oh, wouldn't it be great to just stay in bed and eat pizza all day? Like we can just stay here and not worry about anything. That would be so great. But like, and I'm just as happy doing nothing with you as I am traveling or going to the kids' events, like sitting and enjoying a cup of coffee or a glass of wine or whatever it is. I think that it's come to the point where you and I can really just enjoy each other's company.
Right.
And that's beautiful because we've maintained that connection.
I agree.
Instead of saying, okay, well, we'll worry about us when the kids are gone. It was, no. We want to show the kids what a healthy relationship looks like,
Right.
and what a true partnership looks like.
Right.
And I actually remember there was one time you came home and you had brought me flowers. And it was for no occasion at all. And I think at that time, my hair was still in a messy bun. I was still in my pajamas. And I don't even know if I brushed my teeth yet that day, to be honest. But you came home and you had flowers for me. And and Sienna was sitting on the couch. And you looked at me and you smiled and you handed me the flowers. And you were like, there she is. And then Sienna, after I was putting them in water, Sienna goes to me and she goes, well, why did Dad say there she is? And I was like, because this is the face that nobody else gets to see except Dad. And he's like, and she's like, that makes unbelievable standards Sienna was like, that makes the standards so unattainable because your love is what they want. That's what they hope for in their relationship.
Well, I want to make it difficult for any boy that
any
tries
suitor,
to court our
any
daughter.
suitor that comes through. Yeah, but I think that being able to have that model for the kids of a healthy relationship where not only do we love each other, but they know that they're loved, that our family as a unit functions so solid.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about our connection, right? We each
It starts
have our
with
own,
us.
Yeah, it starts with us, and we connect to our kids in our own way. And we are always about family. And I think it was important what we instilled in our marriage and our family life was always having dinner together. Super important.
Yeah.
And you did that growing up. I did that growing up. I don't know if it's just a Filipino culture thing, but that gets lost, I think, with a lot of families here. But I thought that was super important that we would always have dinner together.
Yeah.
At least do our best. Of course, there's the late night meetings or whatever happens, but 99% of the time, we always had dinner together.
Yeah. And it was a time for us to come together. Everybody puts their phones down, and it's like a meal. It doesn't necessarily have to be home cooked, even if it was ordered takeout or whatever it is, or going out to eat together. Right. But being able to have that time to come back to family is always very nice. And I think that one of the things that we also never did is we never argued or had a disagreement in front of the kids, even in our parenting styles.
Right.
So like if I didn't agree with you on something, I would never, what's the word that I'm looking for? I would never undermine your ruling, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or,
in front of the kids.
In front of the kids, I would wait till afterwards so that we could both discuss it. But it was always you and I are a unified front together, and so then that way, the kids knew that they couldn't play one off the other.
And they still try, right?
Yeah, they still try.
Hey, Dad, Mom, or Dominic would be like, Mom told me to ask you if I can go to my friend's house. Yeah. Really? So, I mean, they still try, but I think for the most part, they know we were always, and still are always all unified with what we tell them.
Yeah.
And that's super important so they don't walk all over us.
Right, because we are outnumbered. And I think that also that unity that you and I, like that concept, even if you and I had disagreements, it was never the intention of, well, I'm gonna enforce my will, or I'm gonna be right, I'm gonna win. Right. It was never a matter of like, if you and I got into a disagreement or an argument over something, it was never one of us trying to win. It was both of us fighting together for us, not necessarily me against you or you against me. Right. And it was we always kept in mind that our marriage was the most important. Our relationship was the most important thing.
Yeah, it's not about winning any argument. It's about just coming together because, going back to, this is a marriage, right? It's long term, so you can't Like those arguments they come and go.
Yeah.
You know, no grudges, right? It's just like, okay, maybe a little grudge, like for like 30 minutes or whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. You know, everything's good.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just being able to have that, being able to brush things off, right? If you don't get your way, because it's for the betterment of our family or our relationship, right? I don't always have to be right. You don't always have to be right. It's just like, hey.
Even though I am. I'm just kidding.
Well, most of the time. But at times I'm right, you know? But sometimes you let me be right because I know you know. I know you do that. You know, I'm like, I'll take it. I don't care. But you do that.
Yeah.
And I don't, you know, but it doesn't matter. It's just, it's for us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
That's super important.
And I think that started because it was important for both of us to have an aligned vision. We both came together and we both knew, we talked about what we wanted for our marriage, what we wanted for our family, so that instead of like me having an idea of what I wanted and you having an idea of what you wanted, it was both of us working together to get there, as opposed to like, oh, I think this is what he wants, and hopefully it goes along with what I want because I'm going to get my way. And it was never about that. It was never about my way or your way. It was always for us. It was always together. So that made it a lot easier in getting over those grudges, in getting over those petty arguments, whatever they were. So
because they happen, you can't avoid them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. How would you see like your view on marriage, like just as an institution or whatnot, marriage now versus when before you were married?
I mean, sad to say, I think people think I think marriage, when even before we were married, it was more of like a commitment. It was like that institution of marriage was like unbreakable. And over time, in this day and age, it's like, okay, let's try getting married and see what happens, which is super sad. When we got married, it was always about this is forever.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I don't know what made people think that way or what had happened, but my views have always been, this is a forever commitment. So whatever happens on day one versus day in whatever infinity, you have to work at it every single day to make it better. And I think through our marriage, every day has gotten better. You know what I mean? Like it has. Like, as we said earlier, like the rug was pulled out from under us, but that was a low point, but it got better. You know, we bounced back. And if you can work on your marriage, work on yourself, work on your relationship with your kids every single day, I know that sounds like a lot of work, but just to be a little bit better, you know, it'll last a long, long time. I don't know why people don't understand that. You know, like this is.
Well, I think one of the things that saddens me is when people say, you know, well, marriage is just a piece of paper. And I remember like saying like, okay, well, and yeah, I know that sometimes for people it really doesn't work out for them, and you know, I can appreciate that. But for us, the fact that we went into it knowing like I'm not going to quit on this. This is something that I want forever. Right. And I'm willing to work at forever. That definitely changed things. And I remember reading something online, and it was just like, you know, people say that marriage is just a piece of paper. Well, so is money. But people will work every day for money. Well, why wouldn't you work every day for your marriage? Yeah. And to me, it kind of struck a chord, because it was like, it is something that, like you said, you have to put in every day. Yeah. And it's a matter of, and it's not a matter of, like when we got married, Father Paulson said, it's not give and take, it's give and forgive. And
he said that?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
It's a long time. My memory.
But he said marriage is not give and take, it's give and forgive. And in the sense of like, you're going to be giving of yourself and forgiving your own faults, forgiving your partner's faults, whatever they may be, and allowing that just to make progress. And like you said, every day, just working to get better as a person, as a partner, as a parent, whatever it is. But it's a matter of just constantly working on it.
Yeah, I agree.
And one of the things that I think that definitely helped to our advantage in line with talking about the marriage that we wanted to create, it was definitely actually that word is creating the marriage that we wanted, right? Because one of the things is being the spouse or being the partner that you need, right? Because if I know that I need more affection, instead of saying I need more affection, I'm just going to go out and be more affectionate to you, and allow you to be in that energy, and you reciprocate that.
Right.
Or if I need you to talk to me more, instead of giving you the silent treatment for not talking to me, I'm going to go talk to you more.
Right.
And I think that, and especially, you're not the chattiest person.
What? No, I'm just kidding.
You're not the chattiest person, but like you've gotten so good about being expressive of how you feel and being able to communicate that. And it's, I think that it has to do a lot with being what you need.
Right.
You know?
No, I agree 100%. And it brings me back to that one video. Remember, it was like a VHS tape of some guy with the brain of a man versus the brain of a woman or something like that. And you basically have to tell the man, you know, like, I forgot what it was called.
Dr. Amen, and he was talking about like women have spaghetti brains and men have compartmentalized brains.
I think it was older than that.
Yeah, no, but he was saying that like men think, and it's we're in this box, and this is all I'm thinking about. Where women, like, they'll pull out the box. Everything that's in this box, this is what we're talking about. And then we'll put the box back and we'll take out the next box.
Right.
Whereas women think like spaghetti, where everything touches and it's just like a jumbled mess.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think you've adapted to understand that about, I guess, with me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to generalize men or anything like that, but with me personally, like, you know, like, hey, I'm going to tell you. Just, you know, buy me flowers, you know, or something like that, you know, bad example, whatever it is, or like you'll take the action of being more affectionate if you want more affection, right? And that silent treatment stuff, and having a person be like, why is she not talking to me, or what did I do wrong? Like that
it makes it worse.
Yeah, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
So you're exactly right. Being that partner that you need for yourself, because you know that I can reciprocate, or I'll understand like those feelings or that vibe, you know, I can get, you know, and then you get what you want.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get bonus points, or I think I get bonus points.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just, when you were saying that, it brought me back to that video that we saw. I'm like, this dude is right. And I think it was like from the 80s or something.
Yeah, I think it was. I think we watched that at our engagement retreat.
I think so. I think so.
So, yeah. When we come back, we're going to take another quick little break, and when we come back, we're actually going to hear from Kevin some of the quick tips that he has in regards to being a partner, being married, and being a parent. So we'll be right back. Welcome back. We are here with my guest, Kevin, my husband of almost 19 years. And for this last segment, I just wanted to ask you what tips you might have. And I guess to start with, just about bettering yourself. What would you say are some tips that you might offer on being a better person, a better partner?
Gotcha. I mean,
a better father?
Right. I think the biggest thing for me is learning how to communicate. Communication is super, like, people say it all the time, communication is key. It sounds redundant or whatever, played out, but it's true. Learn how to communicate. Because if you can't, how are you going to get through life knowing or having other people know what you want? Yeah. Right? And it helps, communication helps you in everything you do.
Well, I think it's not even just about communication. If I can piggyback on that, it's honest communication too.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it's not just about saying what you want, it's explaining why you want things and being able to convey authentically, like, look, this is who I am, this is me honestly, and not trying to be pretentious, not trying to impress you or
Right.
anything like that. I'm going to communicate my vulnerability to you, and
Right.
and here is me.
Yeah, and I think I'm not the best communicator, you know that, but I work on it.
Yeah.
So it's that's why I say learn how to communicate. Or I guess work on communicating every day, right? I mean, you ask me all the time, right? Like, so why do you feel that way? I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I struggle with that, you know, but I think I'm getting better.
Yeah.
So learning to communicate is awesome, and it'll make you a great storyteller. You know, and I'm not great at storytelling, but I can tell a story a little bit better than I did 2 weeks ago, or I guess 2 months ago.
Sure.
So I think everything bases on communication. Um, I think you should also find people that you admire and you look up to that are quote unquote better than you in your
Mentors,
mind.
yeah.
Mentors. Doesn't have to be mentors. They could be equals to you, but like they bring something to the table that either you don't have or you want. I think surrounding yourself with those people is super important.
Yeah.
So that way you can bounce ideas off of them. You can learn from them.
You can emulate
What they
Yeah.
do, and hopefully, if they have something you want, then you can somehow learn a way to get that same thing, right?
Yeah, I like that. What about being a parent? What would you say about being
A better parent?
Yeah, tips on being a better parent.
Again, communication, right? Like we were talking about how, like me communicating with our kids, telling them I love them, I'm proud of them. Say it as early and as often as you can.
Yeah.
And that I learned from you, right? Don't wait till they're gone from, off
The
to
house,
college or
yeah.
whatever. Don't wait till they're in high school. Early and often, tell them that you love them, you're proud of them, and like that you're there for them, right? And also understanding. I know as a parent, you also have to work on your patience. You know that patience with our kids is like, that's a skill.
Yeah.
To actually just let me just grab some patience here real quick because I'm really frustrated.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, like patience in an instant, like you can really, it can go a long way.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think also you and I have kind of learned to pick our battles with the
Yeah.
kids.
Yes.
And in the sense of like, okay, I know that they are flat out lying right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
but I'm gonna let that one slide because there will be another hill that I need to conquer. Or if it's a matter of, do I really need to get upset about this right now, or
Right.
is this tantrum really the one that's gonna break me, or whatever it is. It's learning to decipher when those important moments are,
Right.
where you really need to parent, I guess.
Right.
Well,
Well, I mean, joint parent, that goes with joint parenting too, right?
Yeah.
It's just like how we work together, and it's like, I can't get mad at Dom right now, and
Yeah.
just saying he's down. I can't get mad at him right now. Can you just do it?
Yeah, exactly.
This is
exactly.
what's bugging me.
I can't be
I
the
can't
bad
do it.
guy.
Yeah.
Can you go be the bad guy right now?
I was
Yeah.
the bad guy
absolutely.
last time.
Yeah.
Just can you take care of that for me? So joint parenting, communication, patience,
Absolutely.
and working joint parenting.
Yeah. And I think also if I can add a tip, it would be that let them experience things. I saw this one really cool article, and it was talking about like allowing kids to do dangerous things carefully. And I was like, that's so, and I went on to read the rest of the article, and it was actually quite brilliant because it was like when you allow them to do things, like say if it's like, I don't know, walking on a balance beam and they might fall in the water, or they might, hit their head, the natural reaction of a parent would be like, oh, no, don't do that.
Right.
Be careful. Or if they're riding a skateboard, oh, no, don't do that. You're the hovering parent, I guess it would be. But it's also like if they're doing something dangerous, but they're doing it carefully, it also allows the child to learn to trust themselves. and to build their own confidence, and to know that if they do fall, you're there to catch them,
Right.
but you're allowing them to try. So I thought that was a really, really nice article. So that would be my tip. Obviously my babies aren't babies anymore,
Yeah.
but if I could go back, I would allow a lot more room for that.
Well, if I could go back to, I would tell ourselves as young parents, trust yourself, dude. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
you can
that's
parent.
a good one. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you are capable of parenting.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
trust yourself. Because we were super scared taking Sienna out of that hospital. We did not want to get
When she was
discharged.
born.
We're like,
Yeah.
yo, we're too
We're not
young.
allowed to take this
Yeah,
baby
we can't take this
home.
baby. And we panicked when she started crying in the car.
We wanted to
didn't-
go back to the hospital.
So trust yourself because you can parent. You'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, you will figure it out. Absolutely. What about as a married person, or for a healthy marriage? What would your tips, with now almost 19 years of experience under your belt, what would you say to somebody who is about to get married?
So far, I think the theme is communicate, right? Don't keep anything in and let it build up. Always communicate, whether it's good or bad. It doesn't matter, because if you're in it for the long run, this marriage, then you have to say the good things, the bad things,
Yeah.
or else it's just gonna build up, and that's not healthy. Communication was that theme for those three so far, right? I've learned to do that as best as I can so far, and I'm still learning. You know that, but if you can't communicate, then how is the marriage gonna work? How is anything gonna work?
Yeah.
So I would say that. Number two, and it's something that I don't want to even say aloud, but like, don't quit the stuff that you as a person love to do, right? And we always, I guess from day one, we're always about that. Like, if you want to go out with your boys, go do it, right? Go do whatever you need to do. If you want to buy that motorcycle, go for it, right? I mean, it sounds silly, but don't give up those things
That make you who you are.
that make you who you are, because that's who you fell in love with, you know?
Right. Exactly.
And I don't want you to change. You don't want me to change, right? We want to get better, right? But always, like, don't be afraid to do what you want to do. If you need that alone time to go out with your girlfriends or whatever, go ahead and take it, because you need that. It's healthy to do that. And people get lost in just like, oh, let me check if I can do that.
Let me check with the boss.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
you're the
I'm
boss.
my own boss.
I'm the boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
my own boss.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like, I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go tell my wife that I can go do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that if you can do that from day one and establish that rule that you will never give up on yourself and the love that you have for whatever it is, whether it's playing golf, basketball, whatever it is, right? That you'll make time for that.
Yeah.
That's super, I think, really, really important in a marriage.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant tip.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming today, honey.
You're welcome.
I'm
Thanks
so
for
glad that
having
you
me.
were here. Hopefully our viewers have learned something from today and enjoyed this episode. So thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you next week, and we will see you soon. Take care. Cheers.